What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazik of the Fight Guys. I'm also a Forbes contributor. I want to talk about Andy Ruiz. I wrote this up already on Forbes, but I wanted to kind of have a little bit of a time to just kind of touch on what I felt was a really just embarrassing performance, an embarrassingly unprofessional performance. I'm sure by now everybody knows Anthony Joshua defeated Andy Ruiz via a lopsided unanimous decision on Saturday in Saudi Arabia. The fight was a very big financial success. The Zone crushed it with 1.8 million viewers across 9 different markets. They generated at least 200,000 new subscribers to their streaming service based on this fight alone. And so they did very well. It proved Anthony Joshua's star power. It also proved that Andy Ruiz, I thought, brought a crowd with him as well. Obviously, had become a star within the boxing community and specifically in the Mexican boxing community. And to me, that right there is one of the biggest reasons why I'm so disappointed in the lack of preparation, the lack of conditioning that Ruiz showed. I think he let a lot of people down. Obviously, he let himself down. But I think there were a lot of people, hardcore, real deal boxing fans, real deal Mexican boxing fans, that were excited to see him in that position. Traditionally, Mexican boxing champions have not been in the heavyweight division. They've been in other divisions. Clearly, the Mexican boxing tradition is a rich one. And as an African American, I can vibe with how awesome it is to see somebody from your background who looks like you achieving in a space where you generally don't see them achieving. So I dig that and I understand it and I can empathize and see how, as a Mexican boxing fan, you're looking at Ruiz and like, yes, you know, you got out there, you shocked the world with this first one. But then when you turn around and you get your second opportunity to prove that the first fight wasn't a fluke, you come out 15 pounds heavier. You were already too heavy in the first fight at 268, but that was excusable, even though you've been pretty much fighting overweight your entire career. But that was somewhat excusable because you took the fight on short notice after Jarrell Big Baby Miller got popped for taking all the drugs in Walgreens. So I understand that. So there's somewhat of an excuse there, obviously, and you won. So now you get an entire training camp to prepare. And you come in 15 pounds heavier. Before the fight, you tell somebody, oh, I weigh 268 in my own personal weigh-in the morning of. And you basically are trying to convince people who have been around boxing for decades that you gained 15 pounds in the same day. And part of it was the hat, the sombrero and stuff that you had on. It was really just a joke. Really, it was. And the fun-loving, laughing, smiling guy act, that is fine and dandy when you win. But the moment you lose, that whole persona, that whole approach just becomes a joke. And to me, that's what Ruiz became when he showed up 15 pounds heavier, clearly even more out of shape, even slower. Hand speed is his biggest attribute. He has ridiculously fast hands. He has solid footwork, even though he doesn't have great foot speed. He's undersized from a height standpoint, which is even more of a reason why he cannot afford to do anything that messes with his mobility. And I would have preferred to see Andy Ruiz come out and get knocked out in the first 2 rounds in shape, having given himself the best opportunity to win, than to see him literally look like, well, maybe if you were 15 or 20 pounds lighter, you might have had a chance to be more competitive in this fight. But as it stands, you could not close the distance. You ate the jab all day. You ate some 1-2 combinations all day. Did you get a couple club and left hooks in? Yeah, you did. But you guess what? You weren't in the best shape. And the man you're fighting, Anthony Joshua, who has made far more money in the sport than you have, dedicated himself to come in and say, you know what, I'm going to get back the titles that I lost to this guy. He comes in 10 pounds lighter. Anthony Joshua is 6'6". He comes in 237. Andy Ruiz is 6'2". He comes in 283 pounds. Now you tell me you don't see a problem with those numbers. It was embarrassing. It was ridiculous. And because of that, I don't think he deserves a third fight, at least not right now. If anything, I think that Andy Ruiz should be made to fight two more fights against solid heavyweight contenders. I would love to see Andy Ruiz against Luis Ortiz. I think that fight makes all the sense in the world. I would love to see Andy Ruiz against Dillian White. I think that fight makes sense. I think Andy Ruiz against Jarrell Big Baby Miller makes sense. All of those fights make sense. Even Andy Ruiz against the winner of what should be a rematch between Alexander Povetkin and Michael Hunter, because those guys fought to a draw earlier on that card. Him against any of those guys, and I think he needs to win two fights, and I think he needs to show up in shape for those fights. At that point, then I think he gets another shot at Joshua, if Joshua is still the champion, which I think if he gets anywhere near Deontay Wilder, he won't be. But if Joshua is still the champion, I think he deserves a third shot at that point to have a rubber match, because I think he will then have proved himself again and shaken off this embarrassing loss. Or he just deserves a shot at whomever, any world champion at that point. But to me, after you show up 283 pounds for the biggest fight of your life, that does not guarantee you an automatic third shot. And I don't think he deserves that. So I'm interested to see what you guys have to say in the comments. I know some people will not agree. Some people will agree. But it's all boxing. It's all conversation. And it's all good. I appreciate you watching. As always, God bless and peace.